The boxing world is buzzing as the May 2nd showdown between Ryan Garcia and Rolando "Raleigh" Romero in Times Square approaches, a clash that feels like a pressure cooker ready to explode. This fight isn't just about belts or records. It's a collision of narratives, redemption arcs, and raw power that could redefine both fighters' careers. The build-up has already reached fever pitch, with predictions pouring in from every corner of the sport, each one layered with analysis, bias, and a touch of personal vendetta. What makes this matchup so compelling is its unpredictability. On paper, it's a classic contrast of styles, but in the ring, it could be a chaotic eruption of skill, grit, and chaos. Ryan Garcia, the 26-year-old phenom with a 24-1 record, is coming off a tumultuous year. His loss to Gervonta "Tank" Davis in 2023 was a humbling moment, a knockout that exposed vulnerabilities in his game and sparked questions about his mental fortitude. But Garcia has spent the time since rebuilding, refining his craft, and reshaping his public persona. Gone is the erratic, social media-fueled version of Ryan who dominated headlines with wild rants and questionable decisions. In its place is a calmer, more focused fighter, one who's traded Instagram bravado for a businessman's mindset. His team, led by promoter Oscar De La Hoya and his father, Henry Garcia, insists this is a new Ryan, one who's hungry, disciplined, and ready to reclaim his spot among boxing's elite. On the other side stands Rolando Romero, the 29-year-old brawler with a 16-2 record and a reputation for being as unpredictable as a storm. Romero isn't a technician, he's a wrecking ball. His style is crude, awkward, and at times reckless, but it's also dangerous. Romero's power is undeniable. Gervonta Davis himself admitted that Romero's punches hit harder than Garcia's, describing them as feeling like bricks. Romero's career has been a roller coaster of upsets and comebacks, and while he's never been the darling of the boxing establishment, he thrives in the role of spoiler. This fight represents his biggest payday yet, and he's got nothing to lose, which makes him all the more dangerous. The boxing community is split on the outcome, but the majority lean heavily toward Garcia. Sean Porter, a former welterweight champion and one of the sport's sharpest minds, is firmly in Garcia's corner. Porter's prediction isn't just a hunch, it's rooted in a deep understanding of both fighters' journeys. Having faced Tank Davis, both Garcia and Romero walked away with losses, but Porter believes Garcia learned more from the experience. He points to subtle improvements in Ryan's focus, ring awareness, and composure, qualities that separate contenders from champions. Romero, Porter acknowledges, also grew from his defeat, but not to the same degree. Ryan's got more talent, Porter says with conviction, a statement that carries weight given his history of sparring with Garcia and analyzing Romero's fights. Porter sees Garcia's trajectory as one of elevation, while Romero's improvements, though real, fall short of championship grit. Tim Bradley, another respected voice in boxing, doubles down on the Garcia prediction, zeroing in on one weapon, Ryan's left hook. Bradley isn't speaking in hypotheticals. He's convinced that hook will be the fight ender. Ryan's going to catch him with that left hook, and it's going to be night-night, he says. But Bradley's analysis goes beyond tactics. He's noticed a transformation in Garcia's character. The loud, self-destructive Ryan of 2023 has been replaced by a more deliberate, professional version, one who's toned down the chaos and embraced a legacy-driven mindset. Bradley respects this shift, seeing it as a sign that Garcia is training harder, staying focused, and preparing to unleash his power with precision. The result, Bradley predicts, will be a knockout, emphatic and brutal. Sergio Mora, never one to mince words, frames the fight as a high-stakes gunfight with no cover. Both Garcia and Romero, he argues, are offensive dynamos with leaky defenses. Romero comes to knock people out, but his holes are glaring. Garcia, while vulnerable himself, has the edge in speed and timing. Mora doesn't expect this to last long, 5 or 6 rounds at most. It's going to be a short, explosive fight where either of them could get hurt, he says. Mora points to Garcia's recent opponents, noting that since facing Oscar Duarte, Ryan hasn't fought someone with Romero's raw power. Devin Haney, Garcia's last big fight, was a technician, not a brawler. Romero, on the other hand, throws with violent intent, and Mora expects chaos, brief, thrilling, and decisive. But not everyone is riding the Garcia wave. Clarissa Shields, the undisputed queen of women's boxing, brings a fiery dissent to the conversation. Shields doesn't just predict a Romero win, she demands it. Her reasoning isn't tactical, it's personal. Shields is outraged by Garcia's past, particularly his failed drug test before the Haney fight, which she calls a steroid hook. To her, Garcia is a cheat who's been given a pass by the boxing world. She dismisses the narrative of his redemption, pointing to his history of racial slurs, erratic social media behavior, and lack of accountability. Ryan's a drug cheat, and he knows he cheated, Shields says, her voice dripping with disdain. She wants Romero to knock Garcia out cold, not just for the win, but as a form of justice. Shields' prediction is raw, emotional, and unapologetic, reflecting a sentiment shared by those who feel Garcia's rebranding is unearned. Shakur Stevenson, one of boxing's brightest young stars, doesn't share Shields' venom but is equally confident in Garcia's victory. Stevenson's assessment is cold and technical. Raleigh is not that good. Ryan is a better boxer. Coming from a fighter known for his surgical precision, this is a damning verdict on Romero's skill set. Stevenson predicts a knockout, suggesting Romero's flaws, his wildness, his lack of finesse, will leave him open to Garcia's power. Teofimo Lopez, another elite talent, offers a more cautious take. Having felt Romero's power firsthand, Lopez respects the threat he poses. Raleigh's got power, and Ryan's got to be careful, he warns. Lopez sees the fight as a high-risk tightrope for Garcia, one where a single misstep could derail his carefully planned comeback. The stakes for Garcia couldn't be higher. This fight isn't just about Romero, it's about what comes next. Saudi boxing patron Turki Alalshik has laid out a grand vision for October, a card featuring Garcia, Haney, Lopez, and other marquee names. But that future hinges on May 2nd. A loss to Romero doesn't just cost Garcia a win, it shatters the narrative of his redemption, dims the hype for a Haney rematch, and potentially locks him out of the elite tier. Garcia knows this, and his team insists he's approaching the fight with laser focus. "If I get caught with one shot, it could be the end of the night," Garcia admitted, acknowledging Romero's power. But he's equally confident in his own arsenal, particularly that left hook, which he predicts will put Romero asleep. Romero, meanwhile, is embracing his role as the chaos agent. He's not burdened by the pressure of legacy or expectations. This is his chance to play spoiler, to land one of those brick-like punches and flip the script. Romero's camp claims he's mentally sharper than ever, pointing to sparring sessions where he allegedly dominated Garcia years ago. "We hooped him in 2 sparring sessions," Romero's team brags, suggesting Raleigh has a psychological edge. Whether those sessions translate to fight night is anyone's guess, but Romero's confidence is unshaken. "I destroy that man," he declared, a statement that's equal parts bravado and belief. The stylistic matchup is what makes this fight so intriguing. Garcia is a technician with blazing speed and a devastating left hook, but his defense has shown cracks, especially against power punchers like Davis. Romero, by contrast, is a brawler who relies on awkward angles, raw power, and relentless pressure. His defense is porous, and his stamina fades after 6 rounds, but within that window, he's a human landmine. If Romero lands clean, Garcia's chin, already tested by Davis, could betray him. Conversely, if Garcia keeps his distance and picks his spots, Romero's reckless style could lead him into a trap. The consensus among analysts is that Garcia's path to victory lies in surviving the early storm. Romero's power is most dangerous in the first 6 rounds, when his energy is high and his unpredictability is at its peak. If Garcia can weather that chaos, using his footwork and timing to avoid the big shots, Romero's gas tank will likely betray him. From round 7 onward, Garcia's superior conditioning and sharper boxing IQ should take over. But that's easier said than done. Romero's awkwardness makes him hard to prepare for, and his power means a single mistake could end the night early. Garcia's team is banking on his evolution. Henry Garcia, Ryan's father and trainer, says his son is a different fighter now, more patient, more dangerous. When he's focused like this, he drops his opponents, Henry says. Oscar de la Hoya echoes the sentiment, framing the fight as a personal vendetta. "Ryan's coming for revenge," de la Hoya declared, referencing the critics who wrote Garcia off after the Davis loss. The team believes Ryan's experience, combined with his renewed focus, will be the difference. At just 17, Garcia turned pro and has been navigating the spotlight ever since. That pressure, they argue, has forged a fighter who thrives in moments like this. Romero's camp, meanwhile, is leaning into his underdog status. They know the boxing world sees him as a stepping stone for Garcia's comeback, but they relish the chance to derail that narrative. Romero's trainer, Ismael Salas, has been working to refine his raw style, but the core of Rawley's game remains unchanged: walk forward, throw bombs, and create chaos. If Garcia hesitates or underestimates him, Romero could make Shield's prediction come true with one swing. The broader context of the fight adds another layer of intrigue. Boxing is at a crossroads, with a handful of stars like Garcia carrying the sport's mainstream appeal. A win here positions Garcia as a crossover king, capable of drawing millions to a Haney rematch or a potential blockbuster with Davis or Stevenson. A loss, however, could stall that momentum, handing the spotlight to someone else. Romero, with his brash personality and knockout power, could become an unlikely star if he pulls off the upset. For now, he's content to play the villain, knowing that one punch could change everything. As fight night looms, the ring in Times Square will feel like a pressure cooker. Garcia's precision and speed will face off against Romero's brawling power and unpredictability, creating a fuse that's ready to ignite. The first clean shot, whether it's Garcia's left hook or Romero's overhand right, could decide it all. The boxing world is watching, not just for the result, but for the statement it will make. For Garcia, it's about redemption and legacy. For Romero, it's about chaos and opportunity. And for fans, it's a fight that promises fireworks, one way or another.